Hey guys, welcome to the show. 888-659-3727. Did a little Facebook Live pregame show to show you what it's fucking clusterfuck. To try to get this thing on the air takes a tremendous amount of work. But I want to welcome my man, Joe Tillman, who is live from our upgraded TBT studios in Vancouver, British Columbia. Joe, how are you, man? I can't hear you.
Hello, can you hear me?
And now I can.
There you go. Okay.
What's that? Dude, you look so sharp. It's crazy.
Well, I ironed my shirt.
Yeah.
Ba-dum.
Do I have to give you the courtesy laugh again? Because it's not going to happen.
Do you have the pre-recorded like they do on sitcoms? You press a button and it's like the group laughter.
I can figure that out. No,
well, you.
Great job with the studio, man. Looks incredible.
Thank you. It helps be in a different location. Had, as you know, the past couple, it actually took 2 weeks to do this, move into a new place. And it's times like that I remember how much I hate moving. It's the worst, especially when, you're trying to run a business and you're trying to do your day to day. I got so far behind in everything. And I was just like, I was mentally exhausted from moving.
Dude, that's why you hire people, man.
I did hire people.
Jews don't move. That's the one thing I tell people. If you ever ask me to move, you're shit. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. No, I get it. But
we don't ski. Well, that's actually not true. But I don't ski.
Sometimes you do.
Yeah.
But it took almost 2 weeks to get completely settled. And now it's just, getting little knickknacks here and there. But it's good to be back, though. Especially with this new upgraded place. So
it's great. Okay, so just checking, my sound to you is good?
Yeah.
Okay, your sound to me is good. The recording looks good. Let's talk about hair. Guys, if you are new to the broadcast, don't know who I am, why I'm here, and why Joe's here, I'm a consumer advocate for men and women dealing with hair loss, the author of The Bald Truth and the Truth About Women's Hair Loss, and a guy who unfortunately has been dealing with hair loss for 3 decades. It's hard to believe. And if you're watching the show for the first time, all you guys who are listening to the show who've never seen me, I know you think I'm bald as F. I get it. I do a hair loss show. But if you're watching the program for the first time, hold on. Yes, Andrew just said, what the F? You look good, by the way.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Or you?
You. He always thinks I look good. But, your picture, dude. Come on.
I finally listened to all of your advice, Andrew, on the settings.
Amazing.
No, it's just
amazing.
It's lighting and having more space. That's what it came down to. So thank you for that.
Can I finish my opening?
Oh, sure. Go ahead.
Andrew, you always have to interrupt me when I'm doing the show. For crying out loud. Listen, if you're new to the program, don't know what we do, we've been, or at least I have been, helping to navigate hair loss sufferers through this treacherous, insane $3.5 billion industry for almost 20 years. Joe's been in the industry for over a decade. And we are just guys who have dealt with an issue that 2/3 of men deal with by the age of 35. I started to deal with it very early on in my life. And I decided after doing all of my research, realizing that everyone, and I mean everyone that I dealt with in the industry was trying to con me, bamboozle me, sell me a wig, sell me plugs before I needed any type of hair transplant. I'm talking about 4-millimeter plugs, lotions and potions, and people were telling me to send me their hair and they were going to freeze it for future cloning, all kinds of shit. When I realized that the industry was a complete sham, and luckily I realized it before I was disfigured, I decided to do something about it. And what I did was create this platform. I wrote The Bald Truth, The Truth About Women's Hair Loss, lucky enough to get published by 2 major publishers, and the rest is history. Now, Joe and I speak about this all the time. No matter how much work has been done over the years, no matter how far we've come, no matter how long I've been on the air, you have to realize there are 200,000 of us waking up every day realizing for the first time that we're losing our hair. And those new guys don't know anything about the Bald Truth. They don't know anything about the American Hair Loss Association. They don't know anything about the IHRS. And what do they do now? Where it used to be in our day, You go to a phone book or maybe a library to do some research. I don't even know if people know what a library is anymore. Now, obviously, we go online. And while things improved for, I say, the first 8 to 10 years of me doing this and of Joe getting involved in the industry, now it is completely, in my view, turning the wrong corner again. And Joe Tillman coined the phrase, at least in this arena, the dumbing down of the internet. And that is exactly what's happening.
Yeah, it's crazy how.
Jesus, you look fucking good, man.
Thank you. I love this new office. I mean, like I was telling you before. I mean, yeah, we're getting off subject again, but it's the lighting and the space. I got the space to put up the lighting. I got these because I'm also a photographer. My alter ego. I got my photography lights.
Dude, no one wants to know how the sausage is made. I'm just telling you look good.
I'm just happy to have it. So I'm going to talk about it. Damn it. No, but it's good. It's good. Thank you. But
good.
I'm constantly reminded of how little people know about the industry, and you see. I mean, I want to cringe sometimes because I see people talking about the industry and this doctor and that doctor, and one of the problems I deal with, or one of the things I deal with, I wrestle with, is when people are talking about results, and someone might show a result, and I have to look at it from the eye of someone that doesn't know any better, and I'm reminded of even just 5 or 6 years ago online, when the quality of the work from, and how can I put this? The quality, and you know where I'm going with this. The quality.
I have no clue, actually, and I'm waiting for you to spit it the fuck out.
The quality of the work that's being presented by a lot of clinics today is not the same quality as it was 5-6 years ago by the short list of clinics that people were always talking about, and even the short-listed clinics aren't doing, I think, the work that they were several years ago, and I think it's because of just a lower overall threshold of acceptability in refinement in overall results. I think that it's actually spilling over into some of the clinics.
I think it's even worse than that. I think, yes, I understand what you're saying. I think the bottom line is FUE changed the field completely. Guys have gotten fucking lazy. They never really learn how to do it properly. They are hiring these, slave laborers to do the procedure.
Some of them haven't even picked up a punch, and they're offering it.
Right, exactly. And they're claiming to be experts in the field.
Yeah.
Period. That is what's happening. The old guard, everything that's changed, as bad as things were, when I wrote The Bald Truth, I was able to at least separate the great doctors from the not so great doctors. And at the time, there were only 11 of them. But the criteria was a lot easier to deal with because you were dealing with doctors who had changed the infrastructure of their practices, who were willing to use microscopic dissection in their practices and pure follicular unit transplant procedures. And they were doing incredibly refined work for the time.
Yeah.
Most guys weren't doing that. So what happened? Within 2 years, all the big change ended up buying microscopes. Now, they may not have been using them, but at least they bought them. Everything changed completely. And while there were still a lot of, I hate to use the term, hacks out there, at the very least, the damage was less, even from some of the worst chop shops out there. Fast forward to today, FUE, everyone feels the financial pressure to do it. No one knows how the fuck to do it. So they're hiring kids to basically do surgery. And they're just buying these devices, buying these machines, these handheld motorized devices, hiring per diem techs, and they're going off to the races. I did a video for Plastic Surgery Live. I just spit on my microphone. Plastic Surgery Live, talking about board-certified plastic surgeons and reconstructive, facial and reconstructive surgeons. I think I got that wrong. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying.
Who are all of a sudden hanging up a shingle and saying that they're hair transplant experts. Now, granted, a board-certified plastic surgeon has 5 years of a surgery residency and 2 years in plastic surgery. They have a lot of experience. And the facial plastic and reconstructive guys are all very experienced from the neck up and have the right credentials to do those types of procedures. For the facial guys, it's noses and ears and chins and, all that stuff. And for the plastic guys, they work on the entire body, including the face. However, I can tell you this, they did not take a hair transplant residency. You know why? Because it doesn't fucking exist.
It doesn't exist. Yeah.
Exactly. So you can put up that you're a Harvard-trained plastic surgeon. You can put up that you've gone to Columbia. You can put up whatever you want to put up, and put up the American Board of Plastic Surgery seal and all the other seals and the best doc in town seal. Which, by the way, that I was offered, and I should have done it. I'm probably going to do it again. I was offered a top doc position, and all I had to do was pay for it. And you would have seen my mug on a magazine.
You know what we should do? We should do the dynamic duo, best doctors in the industry. We'll be back to back.
Well, we actually, you can easily buy a plaque, which you see online. You see these doctors, you post these plaques online, and they say how honored they are to be chosen to be top doc.
I'm so honored that they took my check.
It's holy shit. I mean, bullshit. I mean, the entire industry is bullshit. Now, here's the good news.
And that it didn't bounce.
There are a handful of doctors who really care about what they're doing. There are some board-certified plastic guys who are getting into hair who are good at what they're doing. There are a handful in the IHRS who really focus on hair. I mean, you have Jack Fisher from way back whose main focus for many years was hair transplantation. You have Dr. Turowski in Chicago. You have a facial plastic guy like Gable, who's doing incredible work. But there's like less than 10. So I know I'm going off on a rant, but anyone who's new to the program, for the 5 people who are watching us on Facebook, because that's kind of like a new stream for us, understand that we are here to provide you with the truth. That's it. We don't sell anything. We talk about our experiences. I talk about my experience using FDA-approved medication. And again, for the guys who are new, this is a partial sham. I've been on meds for 30 years. I paint the back of my bald spot. Sorry, ladies, if you don't find that sexy. Most of you end up painting your entire faces. I paint a little area of my bald spot. Let me be okay with that. These people are mortified when you tell them that. Like, how can you do something like that?
Oh, my God. You do what?
That is so vain.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, they walk out of the house in a full face of makeup. It's like a mask. It's like Mardi Gras.
It's like a birthday cake on their face.
Anyway, guys, you know what the show's about. Let's take a phone call. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from? All right. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
This is Curtis in Virginia. I've talked to you over the years a few times.
Curtis, man, what's happening?
Hello, Curtis.
How are you?
Yes, just to remind you, I'm early 50s, had about, since my 20s, about 5 hair transplants, went through the whole thing.
I remember you, man. You're the guy who basically said you lived a very, very similar life to mine, except you went for the hair transplants.
Yeah, it's amazing when I was seeing you talk about being in the bars that age. It's like just to make, it's the self-medicating, it's been unbelievable. It's hard, unless you lived it. You
self-medicating? Are you kidding? When I was 21 years old, I mean, first of all, I was drinking before I was able to drink, but as soon as it was legal, I was in the bars. That was where I somehow figured out a way to get laid and deal with the fact that I'm 21 years old and starting to wear like half a can of hairspray just to leave the house. And it was tough, bro.
Yeah. I know everything was a big deal. Like if your friends were going to the beach or swim, you had to think through everything.
The beach? Forget the beach did not happen for me.
But you know what I'm talking about? You had to think through everything, right?
Yeah.
A trip, of this, or that. You had to think it through, like, because of that, right? I mean, everything had to come through that.
Dude, I missed weddings. I missed my 10th year high school reunion because I was concerned about the way my hair looked. And even though it probably looked better than some of the guys that, or at least I'd say 25, at that age, 25% of the guys probably look better than them.
Well,
When I went to my 20th high school reunion, I was one of the few guys who had a relatively full head of hair.
Yeah, and looking back on it now, I caught a lot of breaks because I guess I had like thick, kind of coarse hair, so people would like think like you have. How did you get more hair? Like sometimes I had, it was obvious that I had more hair than I used to, but it was like you say, it was hairspray and making it look like that. It was an illusion in some fashion.
But that's the whole thing, for us as guys. We figured out a way to make ourselves feel comfortable in our own skin, look pretty good. But if we tell people that, and that's why the show's so important, it's like such a big fucking deal. They don't get it. They're like, why don't you just let it go?
Yeah. Well, see,
tell that to a woman.
Let's let it. That's an interesting. Why don't just let it go? Because it's coming from somebody that doesn't have to let it go. Right? Sometimes they don't have, or
absolutely.
Or it's just a different psychological makeup, and you have different goals and different interests and different ways you see yourself.
Let me tell you
it's
something.
like asking the woman to leave the house without makeup. It's like, okay, well, if it's such a big deal, then leave your mascara at home.
But the point is, I don't want. If she's comfortable with that, would be more than happy for her.
But that's the whole double standard, dude. That is the
But they're not.
whole
That's
double
the thing.
standard. I happen to be lucky enough to be with a woman who can leave the house without a stitch of makeup, and she does all the time. And that's a very, very unusual. I mean, I'd say just about every girl I ever dated, except for one other, literally wore an entire disguise before she left the house. I'm talking about to go shopping, for food.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we used to have when I was younger, my friends would go out. We used to have a thing we'd say. If you go out with a girl, you have to give her the swimming pool test.
Yes.
So you have to jump in the pool.
Yeah.
And if it's the same person that comes out of the pool.
Or the sauna test. Give them the sauna test, man. You put them in a sauna for like 30 minutes and see what comes out. And if you're okay with that, then they pass.
I mean, but your show really over the years, I'm telling you, it was like a godsend because I guess I started listening. I've called you, I think, over the last 7 or 8 years. And, I've been, and I've been able to live my life. I've had some issues. But so here's the last time I talked to you guys. It was, I talked to both of you, and I was saying if I had, right now, my day, if like I spend maybe 30 minutes, a little hairspray, a little concealer, I'm surprised how, I guess we only see the flaws, right? I guess we're hypersensitive to what it looks. But so, for example, like a few weeks ago, I was out at this outdoor concert or something, and I was just by myself, and this lady comes up to me and she goes, I think I know you. I think I used to cut your hair, which anybody that brings that up right away, like red flags go up, right? Like, here comes a bad comment, right?
Oh, yeah. Like what happened to your beautiful hair?
No. Like, you think something's coming. And I jokingly just said, no, I'm not from here. I'm just visiting. And I would not blame you for this. Just kidding around. and she goes, what are you talking about? Me and my friend were saying, what nice hair you have.
Yeah. Now, listen, dude,
I
get it all the time, and I appreciate it when people say it. But
you don't really believe because you see something else, right?
Well, it's not even that I see. I just know what it is. I know that if they were to put their hands through it, they couldn't get it out.
Exactly.
I mean, it's so sprayed. It's like I try not to make it look like a helmet, but at times it really can. And look, again, I'm personally comfortable with it. It's just when you explain it to somebody, they seem a little uncomfortable by it. Like you're doing something so out of the ordinary. Oh my God, you're trying to look your best. That is so fucked up.
I think you say it too, but I think also the way you put it is accurate. You're just trying to feel comfortable in your own skin. It's just you're trying to feel like who you think you are.
Dude, I'm telling you, it doesn't make a difference. If my medication stops working, okay, I mean, all bets are off. I'm gonna fly everybody in to give me a transplant. There could be a wig involved. Who knows? It doesn't make a difference. I want to.
Right now,
go ahead.
Well, here's the question. So this is what I was get to. Because right now I can go swimming. I can do most things. I'd say I'm like 80% normal. I think you know what I mean by that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm 80% like everybody else.
Yeah. I'd say I'm about
You know
60,
what
I'm
I'm
about 60% normal.
Yeah, I'm probably in that 68. Yeah, I mean, there's more to it than the average. You know, I mean, I'm not 100% where you just could care less. You know, you don't even know. You just, you know what I mean? There's not even a thought about it. That's
Right.
what I view as 100%. I think you know what I'm talking about on that scale, right?
Dude,
Like,
Absolutely.
of course I know what you're talking
Yeah.
about. I am not well. That's why I do this show.
Well, so here's my question.
You're
I'm sorry
laughing.
to go somewhere, but I'm not for a lot of that's another show altogether. But
That's what I was about to say.
But, yeah, but I was thinking. I keep thinking. The last time I talked to you guys, you know, I feel like if I had one really good procedure, I could get to that level, right? But so I called and you guys. You know, I don't know if you remember we talked about back and forth a little, and so I called Dr. Cooley and Dr. Lindsay, and I was going to go see them, right? Very nice. But I think those are two good doctors because I'm in Virginia, correct? Those would be two good choices.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, I had an appointment to go see Dr. Cooley, and then something happened. There's a very nice lady that works there with a British accent or something. Very nice lady.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway,
she's one of the consultants.
Could not be nicer. Yeah, it could not be nicer. And so I sent some pictures in of it soaking wet, and just so they could get an idea. And she said, "Oh yeah, I think we can." But they were you could just tell they knew what they were doing and talking about right away. It was just so obvious, you know, that they could, even from the pictures and walk and see where some of the hairs were put in the wrong direction. I mean, it was just such a different than anything I'd ever talked to anybody about.
So you went in there and they.
I didn't. No. So.
No, he sent photos in.
Oh, photos.
Yeah,
Okay.
photos. So I was all, do this finally. And then
I really should listen to these guys who call in. Sorry,
nice.
man. I apologize.
Well, sometimes on a talk show that works well. But I mean, I'm not an expert. You're the professional.
Yeah, you're right. I think you're right. I think that's a really good piece of advice.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've never done it, but
yeah, listen to the caller so you know how to follow through. I get. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But again, you guys are the professional. So anyway, I'm just kidding. Anyway, so she called and said we have to reschedule your appointment. It was something had come up, blah blah blah. Something had happened, and Dr. Cooley thrilled. But she, it was free. It was like 2 weeks ahead, so it was nothing. So I just said, all right, and that just gave me time to rethink it, and I just thought about it. I listened to shows. Like right now, here's my biggest fear. Right now, I'm pretty good.
That's
right?
the thing. Your biggest fear is that you could get fucked up. It doesn't matter how
bingo.
It doesn't matter how great you went to see two, or you had consultations with two really good doctors.
What they think is good is what I won't like. Like right now, I can live and feel comfortable, right? It might take me 35 minutes. You know what I mean? But then that's it out of my whole day, right?
Look, man, I can get my crown done. I'm 51 years old. I'm at a point where most people would say, you're probably pretty stable. Now, we don't know 100%. But, I showed it to Joe Tillman the other day, and he's like, yeah, you probably would benefit from a procedure.
I'm still recovering.
He's recovering from it. So, and that's going to leave a mark, by the way. So I'm like, but why would I do that? It wouldn't cost me a dime.
Yeah.
I would do it. I'd even do it live on Facebook for you guys. But you know what? What happens if or wherever? What happens if I had shock loss? What happens if things didn't work out for me? What happens if I had some sort of bizarre, issue with anesthetic, which is rare.
I'm living that like deal or no deal. Do I walk away with a case that has a lot of money that I know I have?
Yes, walk away.
Do I open one more? But I could, if I get screwed this time, there's no going back.
Let me tell you.
What I mean?
Hang on. So you said you've had 5 surgeries, right? And forgive me for needing the refresher, but you said 5 surgeries, and
all right.
This is over the past 20 years, and
longer than that, maybe 30 years.
30 years.
Procedures in 30 years, maybe.
Okay, so
years, something like that.
So you're now at a point. How old are you? 50.
53.
53 years old. 6 procedures since you were in your early 20s.
20s, yeah.
And I think you said you're 80% okay, and feeling normal.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so the way I look at it is if you get through 5 or 6 surgeries and you're at 80% in your own mind, you're probably closer to 100% to those around you.
Yeah, and that's with doing some stuff to it. You know what I mean?
And you should consider, the way I look at it, consider yourself damn lucky.
Dude, it's like you've been drunk driving for 20 years and you didn't have any DUIs.
Yeah.
Now it is time to stop.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it is kind of, it's like that. It's like the Russian roulette. But I mean, it possibly could make it so my life would just be boom, nothing to think about. Because Joe, you did say one thing that made me think, and like you said, it's very freeing to never have to think about it anymore.
Yeah,
you know, it's very liberating, right? So I'm not there. I still have to think about it a little. You know, I mean, it's still in my mind.
You know what? Let me clarify or requalify that statement, though. You never stop thinking about it. I haven't stopped thinking.
By the way, thank you for listening to what my question was. By the way, appreciate that.
All right, I'm just going to flip over to him.
No, I'm kidding.
He's taking his ball.
Yeah, I'm going home.
But look, it's something. I've said this in the past. Yeah, I don't really worry about my hair anymore, and that's true. But I still worry about my hair. It's not so much worrying as just I'm conscious of it, and it's something I'll never stop having in the back of my mind.
I've gotten down to like my Spencer, back to you. That I think you will get this.
Oh, okay.
That I've gotten my mate. Just listen up. Just in my world of just the mental part of it. Once I get through the initial in the morning, the 40 or 35, and I'm done, I can pretty much forget about it the rest of the day.
Yeah,
that's not bad.
Dude, you won. I didn't even know. I'm glad. Listen, I'm glad that you're calling because I think it's important. There's a lot of guys who have hair greed and they don't realize how lucky they are. You are one of the lucky ones. You're 53 years old. You won, man.
Yeah.
Save it for when you're 60 if you need it.
And just because and then the other day, this is a few months ago, it's because you remembered these things. So, I was in like a Walgreens or a drugstore. I was getting some items, and it's always the same lady there. And she goes, "Oh, you got a haircut." And you know what? Right away you think, "Uh-oh, here it comes again," right?
Mm-hmm.
Like what's the next sentence? Like what happened?
What happened? Or didn't you have more hair before? Did you something change?
She got a haircut. I go, yeah. I guess it's it looks pretty bad. She goes, "What are you talking about?" She goes, "You should be thankful that you have nice hair."
Yeah, dude, I get that shit all the time. That people find out how old I am. They're like, "Oh my God." I was in Las Vegas not too long ago. Young bartender, probably was like 24, 25. And I see her just staring at me. And I'm like, all right, either there's something really wrong with me or I'm looking really good or she's a hooker. Wasn't sure.
Like this is only going to go a couple of ways, right? Yeah.
So I order a drink and she says, I just wanted to tell you, I was really admiring your hair. I love the color of your hair and you're so lucky to have so much hair. And I'm like, all right, I'll have another drink. Bring it on.
Yeah.
And it was a great feeling, and people.
No, doesn't it feel like for the night I've just been liberated? Like for that night you were now liberated.
Dude, let me tell you something. For that night, you are the big swinging D. You can walk anywhere, and you're you're feeling great.
That's how it was when that lady goes, the one that said, "Didn't you should cut your hair?" She goes, and I said, "No, I wouldn't blame you for this." She goes, "No, it was really good." Like that rest of the night, I became like the whole new person.
Yeah. And,
nice.
In a way, it's kind of sad that we are that very fragile. Sad. You know what I mean?
Just repeating that back and saying it out loud, it's very sad.
It sounds pathetic. It really does. I got to tell you, man. But I'm the same way.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and everyone who's been watching the show, listening to the broadcast for 20 years, they're exactly like us. When people ask me, and I'm going to repeat myself because I do this often, because I basically do the same show every week for 20 years. When they ask me, how can you do a hair loss show for 20 years? It's because of people like you, because of people like Joe, because of people like me, because almost every guy that I speak to, they may feign that they don't give a shit initially. But if they have a couple of drinks in them, they're asking me all kinds of questions.
I've always given a shit. That's the problem. I mean, I'm identical to your story. It started young, and it was like it was a nightmare. You know, it was like this life can't go on. I mean, how could? And one thing about us in the '80s, I mean, hair was a big deal. Remember those days?
Oh man,
Dude, of course I remember those days.
It defined
I mean,
you.
even now,
I'm still living in those days. Do
If
you
your
know
hair
what?
wasn't 2 feet tall, then you were no one.
When I met my significant other, she had to tell me that I needed to get a different kind of style of blue jean because I was still wearing the 80s jeans. And this is like in 1998 or
somebody
something.
made a joke to me the other day. It was like we were going out and it goes '80s night. I said, "How should we dress?" And he goes, "Just dress how you always do."
That is so fucking wrong, man.
That's awesome.
I mean, but I don't know what that meant, but it was funny.
Dude,
But
listen, it's true. I really think that if I would have been with a woman my age, it's very possible that I'd be wearing a leather vest right now. I don't know. I'm just saying, and really tight pants. So luckily, my significant other, I hate even using that term, common law, is she's hip. So but the one thing I always ask her, I say, please do not make me the old man in the young clothes. I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to look like I'm trying too hard. She once brought me home a pair of jeans they were True Religion with like white seams down the side. I'm like, okay,
Jesus.
you just lost me on this one. It's not going to happen. I look like Brett. I look like a lot heavier Brett Michaels. That's what would happen.
Yeah. So I'm lucky. I have 3 boys, and they're older now, so they keep me in line with that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the honesty comes out with the kids, right?
Yeah, they keep you in check.
And and I work out all the time. That's part of the problem, see, that comes from all that. What has been a positive thing, I've wanted to make sure everything else was as good as I could make it.
Yeah, dude.
Deflect.
Dude, that's the way I live my life. That's the way I grew facial hair because I started to lose my hair. I ended up liking it and keeping it, but it was all to deflect. And when I was younger, I got really jacked.
Yeah.
I was just like, I'd walk around in a T-shirt. I mean, I was just like, not like a wrestler. Well, kind of like I was jacked, man.
Yeah.
And
honestly, I still I take testosterone medically prescribed just to get that out there.
You see, dude, I want to do that, man. But I'm too afraid of my hair. Like, I will deal with the man boobs to avoid any more hair loss.
Oh yeah, I'll tell you though, I would have always thought that, and I still think that, but it's good stuff.
Dude, do you know I would be like, I'm getting back into shape now, but I would be rock solid. I know some guys who are on the gimmicks, and it's insane what it does to their bodies.
Yeah, I for the first time in my life, I have like a 2-pack. Not a 6-pack, but a 2-pack.
Yeah, I actually have a 2-pack, and then underneath it, it's just like a, what would I call it? I'm trying to think of something funny, and I can't. But it doesn't look good. Let's put it that way. Yeah. Now, it has the potential still. But, that shit tightens your skin. I know this guy. He's a neighbor of mine. I also know, Andrew Zarian talks about being on the gimmicks. But there's a neighbor of mine around my age. Used to see him walking a dog all the time. Good-looking, fit dude. And all of a sudden, I see him. He's totally jacked. I'm like, what's going on? Oh, my doctor said I had low T. I'm like, yeah, low T. That's an excuse to get on the juice. So now the guy's on roids. He looks amazing, but who knows what's going to happen? I'm concerned about tumor growth. I'm concerned about hair loss. Well, I'll tell you what happened.
Look, first of all, so you're doing now, hair loss is all real, but no offense, this would be like someone on a testosterone show talking about hair transplants. You got to get the real story on everything.
Well, tell me.
You get what I'm saying?
I do. I actually do. I do speak to anti-aging guys. There's a guy by the name of Alan Bauman who's on the show all the time. I've spoken to him about this.
Yeah.
And some other guys. And, there are some, variables that people don't really understand. I also know Ron Klatz. You know who he is?
No.
Okay. Well, he is the father of anti-aging medicine and one of the fathers of HGH and testosterone replacement. He is the founder of the American Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine. And all these guys take this shit. So I do know something about it. However, I'm not saying that you're going to get any tumors. I'm just saying I got an eye watch for my birthday.
Yeah.
I'm afraid he's going to give me wrist cancer. Okay, that's
Yeah,
the way that I
The
think.
point I want to make, though, it's like anything else. It's so doctor dependent that they know what they're doing, that they're checking, that
I agree with
you're
that.
getting checked it's like, just like the hair transplant. You can go to someone that could fuck you up, excuse my language, with anything than they could with this.
No, I agree with it. And listen, I'm not against it because if it wasn't for my hair, I'd be on it right now.
Right. But there's so many doctors who just met primary care who don't know what they're doing. This is the same thing. And it's like if you have a doctor it's just the exact analogy to a hair transplant surgeon that, yeah, they all can do it. That doesn't mean they should do it.
Yeah.
As far as
Good point.
And there are people that are giving this stuff who don't know that you need to have your hematocrit tested, that you need to have these, that know every hormone level that needs to be, that all it has to be in check so these things don't happen.
Absolutely.
There's some doctors that just write. That's the problem. Just the same thing. It's in the medical field. It's just hard to believe that they're allowed to do in all these fields the things they can do.
Dude, I'll give you an example of something that happened to me recently, and then we're going to take another call. Had a rash of an unknown origin. Didn't know what the fuck was going on. Didn't know if it was medication.
Had you been to Vegas?
Yeah. Well, yeah. But that's besides it. I'm not talking about downstairs.
So that's what you're calling it, a rash of an unknown origin.
It's a rash.
Yeah.
I think Commonwealth's listening, by the way. So
All right.
anyway, I'm trying to figure it out. I go to see a top dermatologist. He takes a chunk out of my leg because he's not sure what's going on. It's still healing, by the way. And, they give you cortisone creams and all kinds of shit. And they ask you all the basics, like, have you changed your diet? Have you changed your soaps? Have you changed your detergent? All the typical stuff. Mm-hmm. Didn't do any of that.
Have you been to Vegas? Yeah.
Have you been to Vegas? So, have you been to Thailand?
This guy's funny.
Yeah.
I was talking about going to Costa Rica if common law left me, by the way, and that's a whole other story.
I was trying to explain that to my wife, what Costa Rica is really all about. Why all these
dude, it's for sexual refugees. That's what it's for.
Because some of our neighbors, these guys were going on a golf trip to Costa Rica, and I started laughing. I go, if they're taking their club there for a prompt, that's the only reason they're taking golf.
It's like going to the Dominican Republic to play golf, man. It's just it's a whorehouse central.
Yeah.
It's a smorgasbord.
Anyway, if the DR is listening, please don't sue me. It's just it's just hearsay. I have no idea.
What
if that's
happened with
true.
the rash?
So anyway, long story short, went to see my internist, and he's like, I got to say that's probably has to do with your diet, and you probably have what a lot of doctors don't consider to be real. But it's associated with a lot of things like IBS and stuff. It's leaky gut syndrome. Take these probiotics and take these things out of your diet and see what happens. Within 5 days, I'm a little itchy, but I'm almost completely rash free.
Yep.
See, that doctor is gold.
I'm talking about a top dermatologist who I know doctors. A doctor's doctor recommended this guy. Said he's the best diagnostician. That's a tough one. Diagnostician. Yeah. You should have helped me out there, Joe. In the business.
I didn't know myself.
He wasn't listening.
Yeah, in the business. And basically, he just cut a piece of my leg out, which is still healing. And honestly, he didn't do a great job with that. And he's like, well, here, use this cortisone. It's the best we can do. Change your detergent. Come
Thanks
back
for the flesh. Here's some cortisone.
Yeah, come back to me. Come back to me if things aren't working. And that's the story of medicine.
It is. It's all the same thing. So have to keep. But then the test is the same thing. It's in the right hand, it's good. In the wrong hand, it's dangerous.
Right, and that's why they call it the practice of medicine. Because I got to tell you, a lot of these people are practicing. They're practicing on you. They have no fucking clue what they're doing. They read their books. They go to school. They think they're able to make proper diagnoses based on the information they learned in medical school. Sometimes it's based on experience, but their experiences are different than other doctors' experiences. And if you're lucky enough to find a doctor who has the right experiences and have encountered the issues like you're dealing with, then you're very lucky.
All right, I'll leave you on this medical.
Please leave us because we got to go.
No, this is a doctor's joke, real quick. So a guy comes into his doctor's office. It's about what, and the doctor comes in and he looks at the patient. And he goes, "You have got to stop masturbating." And the patient goes, "Why?" And the doctor goes, "I'm trying to examine you."
Oh.
Boom. I like that one. All right, dude. Listen,
All right.
take care. Probably the longest phone call of the show ever,
Right.
but it was a great call.
All right.
Hey, and call back, man.
All right.
All right, you take care of
Take
yourself.
care.
Bye-bye. Fucking guy's a riot. Guys, we got to take a
He's
break.
fast too.
What?
He's quick.
Oh, he's quick. He's a funny dude. But you know what I always like about this guy? What's his name? Rich from Virginia? See, I
Someone from
don't
Virginia.
listen.
I know he was
Anyway.
from Virginia, but maybe Rich.
He's called the show several times. He has except the fact that he had 6 hair transplants, he has a very similar, like, 80s hair loss situation that I have. He's only 2 years older than I am.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is he basically has a full head of hair, and he still wants a transplant. He's still considering it. That is a prime example of hair greed.
It is, and he's also putting himself in the perfect position to ruin everything with one more surgery.
Fucked. Yeah. That's all you need is one. I mean, imagine surviving, like I said, and I think that's a really good, the drunk driving analogy is perfect.
That's awesome. Yeah, that was great.
Because, you know, you did it. You made it. You didn't hurt anybody. You didn't lose your license. Stop now.
Yeah, don't go home and then get back in the car to go back to the bar.
Exactly.
Exactly. It's you know, I've talked about this before. It's like the 9 surgeries I've been through.
Fucking 9 surgeries.
The amount of luck.
Your hair
that I've
looks
had.
good, though. I got to tell you. I mean,
Thank you.
You were completely bald. You know, let's face it. That's it.
I was messed up, right? I mean, not just completely bald, but with a pluggy hairline.
Right.
And it was the first 2 surgeries I had that screwed me up, and then it was the subsequent procedures after where I mean, look, kudos to Dr. Wong. Yes, deservedly one of the best in the world, but I still lucked out. I mean, just the law of averages was bound to catch up with me at any given time, and you know, touch wood, it hasn't. So, but I'm done. I never say never, but I can't imagine a need to go for anything else.
Well, Mazel Tov. Maybe you should get permanent SMP. We'll talk about that when we come back. Guys, 888-659-3727. I'm Spencer Kobren here with Joe Tillman. We'll be right back after this.
He's an international best-selling author, a contributing editor for Consumer Digest magazine, and the host of the longest-running reality radio show for men. I'd say he's the man.
The truth shall set you free!
It's Spencer Kobren's The Bald Truth.
Hey guys, welcome back. Phone number is 888-659-3727, live from Los Angeles. I'm Spencer Kobren, and you are watching and listening to The Bald Truth. It's the hair loss show, guys. I know it sounds insane if you were just tuning in, and for the few guys who are watching on GFQ's Facebook page, it's new. We're new on Facebook. You can check us out on thebaldtruth.com. Go to Watch Live, guysfromqueens.com, Stitcher Radio, iTunes Radio, Daily Motion, Ustream, every major streaming site. Obviously, you can download the show once it's archived. But check us out. If you're new, don't know who we are, again, it's the Hair Loss Show, and that's what we talk about. We're not here to sell you anything. We're not here to provide you with any bullshit. We're here to tell you the truth. And you know what? It's grim. It's fucking grim. Am I wrong about saying that? It's grim,
No.
Joe.
But we are here to sell you peace of mind.
Well, we are trying to give you some ability to make the right choice so that maybe you can move on with your life and have peace of mind.
You know,
Are you okay? Go ahead.
I was talking to someone about this earlier today online, as a matter of fact, about what my message is, and this bleeds over into what your message is one of not just education, but prevention. Not prevention of hair loss, prevention of making a fucked up mistake.
Right.
Because, you know, look, I don't care who you're going to, who you're considering for surgery. There's always a chance that something can go wrong, and it has a lot more times than people realize. And
you're not going to see it online. And if you do,
No.
it obviously it sucks for the person that has to deal with it. The doctor obviously is not going to be happy, but it does speak to the reality and to the nature of cosmetic surgery, especially this discipline of cosmetic surgery. There are so many variables when it comes to hair transplant surgery. If you don't understand them, and if you go in there blind, thinking, "Wait a second, I just saw a guy doing cool sculpting and a hair transplant simultaneously. That sounds like a good idea," then there's a good chance you're going to be fucked.
That's the chances that you have on the what I call the low end or the extreme end of the spectrum. I'm talking with even like some of the best known names in the industry. You don't have to go through with a surgery. And in fact, there's a guy on Bald Truth Talk just the other day talking about his options. He had a bald crown, but nothing else anywhere. 29 years old, and I'm happy about the fact I got him to rethink his strategy. I said, "Have you ever considered shaving your head?" And he said, "Well, no, but I am now." I mean, this is kind of a summarized discussion, or paraphrasing the discussion. But it's one of those things where if he can accept that, he doesn't have to shave his head. If he can just move forward and realize that, okay, it's not the end of the world if I don't get a hair transplant. I can move forward and kind of accept things the way they are. And while it may not be great, it's better than the potential alternative of getting fucked up. And he recognized
Here's
that.
the thing. There's a lot of doctors out there who watch the program, who are part of the International Alliance of Hair Restoration Surgeons, who may think, wait a second, these guys are trying to talk people out of surgery. Well, the guys that support what we do understand that my message, at least, has always been, and your message, now that you're on the program, is surgery is a last resort. It's going to be there. If you choose to have surgery, these are the doctors you should consider. But you don't have to have surgery. Yes,
and here's
there
the thing.
are alternatives to being bald, and surgery is one of them.
Yeah, but even when I was parroting the philosophies of different doctors,
yes,
I still carried that message, is that surgery is the last resort. And that's one thing I'm proud of even though I was entrenched deeply in the at the trenches, as you like to say, with clinics, with top tier clinics. I still put the reality of what could happen in front of the patient to let them know that they don't have to have the surgery. And that's been my message.
Speaking about being entrenched and being in the trenches, there was a conversation on my Facebook page this week. A video was put up of me and a procedural dermatologist or a cosmetic dermatologist discussing the issues and the reality of the culture of free medical consultations. And it was pretty controversial. One guy came out, I had a laugh. I had a laugh at this guy. He actually said, "That's a load of crap." I checked him out, so he was, and I thanked him for his lovely comment. And then he basically said, "Well, I'm an asshole." Not me. He called himself an asshole.
He called himself.
It was funny. What are you going to do? People have these extreme responses. But then there was another expert or someone who's out there, saying they're an expert, and I think this person is pretty knowledgeable, who was basically saying that what we were discussing in the video, what I was discussing with this dermatologist in the video, isn't necessarily something that patients should pay attention to. It's not that important when you're making a decision to have plastic surgery. And I have to say that I totally disagree. I understand why even some of the best plastic surgeons and cosmetic surgeons out there feel the need to provide a free medical assessment, free advice. It's all about getting people in the door. And also, cosmetic surgery has been created and turned into this commodity. So if they don't do it, they do not believe they're going to get people sitting in that chair talking about potentially having surgery and them potentially being able to make a sale. But you came out and you said it like it is, as someone whose job it was to make that sale.
Yeah. That was my job.
That's what you did.
That's what I did
For
day
a
in, day
decade.
out. For a decade, for 11 years.
Yeah. And again,
And-
I want to make it clear. The vast majority of hair transplant surgeons offer free consultations. I get it. It's the commodity that is hair transplantation. It is the way the field has been developed. That's just the way that it is. We're talking about board-certified plastic surgeons and reconstructive, surgeons who are doing the same thing. And frankly, while there may be a handful of guys who really take a lot of time with patients, usually, and I've done a couple of secret shopping consultations, and I think I've spoken to you about this. It's they take a look at you, a consultant takes a look at you, maybe the doctor walks into the room, and then you are down the hall talking about the cost and them trying to schedule you into or get you in the schedule. And out of the 2 consultations that I had, both of them said they had cancellations. And
Of course.
we can get you in a week.
Yeah. For a
Now, I don't
reduced
know what
price.
they were going to do. I went in actually claiming that I was interested in having, my eyes done. And the first doctor was kind of like, well, it's a little premature, but we could do something. And then the second doctor
If
was
it's
like,
premature, then why do anything?
yeah. And then the second, well, if it's really bothering you. And then the second doctor's just ready to cut me up.
That's what we're learning.
Well,
this.
we were talking about your role as a consultant. We were talking
Yeah.
about the fact that there was a conversation going on my Facebook page, and it was a really, I thought it was a very compelling video. And the doctor who did the video with me, I mean, she was pretty passionate about it.
Yeah, she was. And,
Her name is Mesbah Khan. She's a New York dermatologist, and
Harvard trained.
Yeah, she's not wrong. I mean,
No, she's not.
I got to tell you, am I saying it's worthless if you get a free consultation? No, it's not worthless. There are guys who will take the time to really assess you medically and do the right thing, but in most cases, that is not the case, in my view. Go ahead.
Well, look, I mean, when you look at consultations for not just hair transplantation, but any sort of cosmetic surgery office where, cosmetic surgery is the most, common type of thing that you're getting surgery wise. So it is a commodity. So they're competing against the guy down the street. But when you're actually requiring a patient to pay for the consultation, you're doing a few things. Number one, you're actually elevating your status for those people that aren't, tire kickers. Right. You're basically qualifying your leads before they even come in from a sales perspective, because if they can't afford to do a consultation, how the hell are they going to afford
Look,
surgery?
if I walk into a hair
If they're not
transplant,
willing to drop $100. Why are they willing?
if I
why
walk
will they be willing to
if I
drop
walk into a hair
10,000?
transplant place, or if I'm deciding to have cosmetic surgery, I'm greeted by a 30-year-old guy or a 26-year-old person who is not a medical professional, I'm getting the fuck out of there. That's it. Sorry. I'm sorry, Joe. I know that's what you did, but I'm out of there.
No. Well, I was going to say, like, this is what happens. You go in and you fill out all this information so they know ahead of time. I mean, I've heard doctors look at a consultation form before they meet the patient and say, let's get him out as soon as possible.
Yes.
Because they know it's like, this is a waste of my time.
Right.
And
we may be able to change his life, but he's got no money, so he's out of here.
Yeah. And at the very least, I mean, from that position, if you look at this just as a sales issue, I even look at things like that as being short-sighted, because you never know. I mean, if this guy doesn't have money now, he may have money next year or 3 years from now.
Right.
And you got to look at things objectively. But
maybe his father has money. Maybe his brother has money.
Yeah, exactly. But regardless, when
What
you
did I
go
tell
in,
you about sitting in a shorter chair than me?
am I shorter right now?
No, you should be.
I should
You need to leave at least 3 inches shorter than me. That's how it works here.
And I'll change that right now. Watch
Okay.
this. Huh? But now you can't hear me. Or can you? Can you hear me?
Do you know, I had a guy for a very short time when I had a job in my life. I had a boss who actually had his chair higher than everybody else is in the room.
Do you also wear lift shoes?
He wasn't a short dude. He just needed to have that power. It was really wild.
A lot of people do
Like
that.
you go into his office, you sit like in these little baby chairs. Anyway,
Anywho, so
guys, hold on. I will take your calls in a second. Joe's trying to finish a thought, and I'm not allowing him to.
but where was I? Yeah. So, I'm trying to trying to give people information on what the hell happens in a hair transplant consultation.
Right.
So anyway, usually you're meeting with someone other than the doctor for, if it's an hour consultation, 45 minutes.
Right.
The doctor comes in at the end, gives his assessment just to confirm what the consultant's been saying, answers some of the tougher questions that the doctor should answer, that a consultant shouldn't answer, and then you're ferried off, or the doctor leaves, and then you talk about price. That's the way things work. If it's different than that, if you the viewer, go to a consultation, then that's rare, because what I just explained is pretty much the default standard on how consultations.
It is like when you're going to finance a car and you're sitting there at the desk with the car salesman, and then they're like, "Okay, let me talk to my manager for 1 second. I'll be right back." And then you go back and forth, back and forth. Believe me, that happens in clinics.
Oh, yeah.
And so if someone gets up with your paperwork and leaves the room, and then the doctor comes in, they're looking at everything and they're like, "Yeah, this guy, he does this for a living. He may be able to, get, I said 2,500 grafts.
He committed to, he said he'd do this number. Maybe we can get him up to this number."
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the way it works, man. People need to understand that.
They do.
888-659-3727. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from? Hello?
Hey, this is Stephen.
Steven.
Hello, Stephen.
Hey, yeah. Hey, I'm from Austin. Actually, I talked to Joe a while back. Maybe about
Wasn't
a week
me.
ago.
Wasn't me.
Oh.
No, just kidding. Oh, Steven. Oh, I remember you. Yeah. How you doing?
Yeah. I'm doing good. So, dang, I was just kind of calling on when didn't expect to get on. But anyway, I just had a hair transplant with a pretty well-known doctor.
Uh-huh. You can say who it is.
It's Dr. Wong.
Yeah, I've heard of him.
Vancouver. Yeah. And I don't know, I just kind of had a lot of thoughts about it, especially kind of the period following it.
That is the worst time. You're talking about buyer's remorse. You're talking about the what the fuck did I do factor to myself. You're in a position now where all of a sudden you had your head shaved down. You had all this work done. You're like, oh my God, I have no idea what this is going to turn out like. It takes 8 months to see anything really, or 7 months to really see anything. Yeah, you're not alone, man. It's an emotional roller coaster.
Perfect.
Yeah, and I mean, I heard you say don't do it under 35, and I'm 33, so I guess at least it's pretty close. But
well, there are varying issues and varying scenarios where if you're 33 years old and you happen to have advanced hair loss and you're maintaining it using medication and you understand realistic expectations and everything that's explained to you and you know what can possibly happen down the road, then you're probably mature enough to have a hair transplant. But I like to stick to that 35 number because I know how, I may have had my shit together on paper, but emotionally, before I was 35 years old, I was a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. As men, that's I think that's a pretty accurate description of how we are emotionally. We just don't have it together in our early 30s, late 20s. A lot of guys do. But with the caller, and I'm sorry, you did say your name, right? I just want to make sure I don't want to repeat. Yeah. Okay. So Steve, he had.
I thought he said his name was Tim.
Or Tim or Bob. It was Bob, right? No. But he did have extensive hair loss, and knowing what I know about the lead-in, when he was being educated by the clinic, I know that he didn't go in blind. And one thing that I conveyed to Steve, and I want to reiterate this, is you've done it, and you can't change that. So it's basically hang on for the ride. And knowing where you went, with my own doctor, I think that you really don't have anything to worry about. I mean, it's easy to second guess yourself. It's easy to look in the mirror and say, oh my God, what the hell did I just do? God knows I've done it. Even when I worked at the clinic, what the hell did I just do? Number 3, am I crazy?
He does that every time he gets out of the shower, by the way.
Pretty much, yeah. But you're in a position where you just got to give it the time it deserves to do what it's going to do, and odds are it'll make a big improvement for you. So remember that. I mean, it's you didn't go to a no-name doctor that you found in the phone book or that has a billboard in the back of a truck in some parking lot. You went to one of the best, and
Wong took down his billboards.
He did. Well, only because I told him to.
All right, good. No, honestly, dude, he's right, and I know what you're dealing with. I speak to guys. I've been speaking to guys about this for 20 years. It's a tough stage. You were excited to have cosmetic surgery. You really wanted to do something to improve your life and to feel comfortable in your own skin. But it's not like getting a chin implant or a nose job. Even though, the swelling will take months to go down completely. You basically have an idea, once those bandages are taken off, what's going on. Yeah. Not the same as a hair transplant. So right now you are in this completely lost territory where you are like, I'm still bald, or maybe I'm worse off right now. I don't know what, and my head was cut.
I can't shave it.
Say it again?
Yeah, I can't shave it.
Yeah. That's it. You had a strip.
Yeah.
Okay. So you made that decision, and, I'm sure before you went into it, you knew what that entailed. At least I hope that you did.
Yeah, I mean, I did. I wasn't, shaving my head before. So I kind of thought, if I can get by with, a 3-guard, 4-guard, I can live with that. If it results.
Was that the guard you were wearing it at before you had your hair transplant?
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
Okay, so Dr. Wong felt confident that you can get away with the 3-guard.
When I actually asked him that, specifically, he said, I can't guarantee it, but usually it's not too bad. Okay,
well, that's a very fair and honest assessment. And there's a good chance that you will be able to get away with a 3-guard, but you also have to be aware that you might not. It's possible that you may have to wear it slightly longer. It really depends. But Joe, you have a lot of experience with Hassan and Wong scars, and especially Dr. Wong scars. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think that Dr. Wong was Dr. Wong when he said, I can't guarantee anything. He will never guarantee you anything, except that he'll do the best job he can, which is one of the things I've always respected about him. But like Spencer said, it may not turn out to where you can do a 3-guard or even a 4-guard. That's always the danger when you're doing a strip surgery. But at the same time, he's got the track record. I've seen it countless times, how great the scar turns out. Have there been cases where it hasn't turned out so great? Of course, but that's the case with every doctor that does a strip surgery.
Right.
There are always cases that don't turn out so great. But when you go to someone that has the reputation of Dr. Wong, you're really reducing the chances of those kinds of negative outcomes greatly by going in that direction. So, as I told you before, privately, you made a great choice. And I think that what he said was very honest with you, and you just need to accept the fact that, it may not be exactly as you were hoping in the end, but ultimately, if you can get away with a natural look, more hair than you had going in, and no disfiguring issues in the donor zone, then you win. You're fine.
I think the likelihood of you having a good result is extremely high. You did your due diligence. You found the right physician. You're now having second thoughts and buyer's remorse, which is very common with this type of cosmetic surgery. And sadly, you're just going to have to deal with it until you start to see things growing.
Yeah.
And that's it. So I mean, what is your life like right now?
It's not actually that bad. I'm just wear a hat everywhere. Luckily, I can wear a hat to work. I've actually kind of gotten used to it, but I guess there's this like weird fear, like, oh, I'm going to be stuck in this hat for the rest of my life or something. But
well, I understand that fear. I mean, that's a legitimate fear. There are guys who have gone through surgery who have not had great results, and they are not necessarily stuck under a hat, but they have to have repair work or they have to have another procedure performed. But you went to a guy that, how many grafts did you have?
5,000.
All right. You had a big number, okay?
Yeah.
If all of those grafts or 95% of those grafts grow, the difference is going to be significant in your appearance.
Yeah, exactly. And the great thing is, from what I saw in your pictures, you're actually one of the better candidates for that kind of surgery because you have a low contrast between your hair color and your scalp color. And those are the best kind of results that you can, or the best characteristics you can have going in for a surgery this size, dealing with hair loss of your degree, your Norwood scale. So that just adds to the fact that you are likely to have a really good result.
Okay.
All right, dude, listen. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But would you recommend for, like, say someone who is, like, let's say, like a Norwood 5, I'm guessing, just start with the strip if you're going to do this, or start with FUE, or?
I'll give you, and again, we are not physicians, but I'm going to give you the reality of hair transplant surgery. You only have a finite amount of hair that can be moved. And in my view, if you need a lot of hair to be moved, the only way that could be accomplished is with a hybrid procedure. Minimum of one decent-sized strip. Minimum. You cannot get, no matter what people say, and I'm going to get shit for this, you cannot get 100% of your DHT-resistant hair out with FUE. You can't do it. So if you need a lot of hair to be moved, you got to do a combination. So while that doesn't sound sexy to people, that's just the reality. I know the sexy sale is we can now do a non-strip, non-linear scar FUE procedure. Yes, that is true. And you can get a lot of grafts out. You can get some really great work done. However, if you are a high Norwood, that would be, I think, the recommendation of most responsible doctors. What do you think, Joe?
I agree, but I also, and I don't want you to read or to take this the wrong way, but I don't like the idea of these big sessions. So when guys with advanced hair loss are looking for the maximum amount of
and by
hair,
the way, I have to agree with that as well. As far as a strip, I'm a fan of probably no more than 2,500 to 3,000 per strip. Again, I'm not a doctor.
Yeah. And what's ironic is having worked for the clinic for 11 years, and with their ever increasing numbers of strip surgery, I never had anything over 2,500 grafts myself. And even though I was basically the face of mega sessions for so long, I'd never had one myself.
That is sexy, by the way.
It really is, isn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah. But so I do agree with stripping out or not just stripping out, but I do agree with using strip to utilize your donor zone to the maximum potential. But I don't think that people in general should be going for 5,000, 6,000 grafts at once. And again, I don't want to put any sort of undue stress on your recovery.
Then don't do it.
But I got to be honest about this.
Stop. No, I agree.
I got to be honest about this.
I will say, though, in Dr. Wong's hands, and this is true, this is what these guys do. So they have consistently good, high-yielding, large sessions as opposed to other clinics that are claiming to have that.
Of course.
And by the way, guys, we're about to be cut off on Facebook. So for the 3 or 4 people that are actually watching on Facebook Live, You can switch over to thebaldtruth.com or guysfromqueens.com or Dailymotion or anywhere else that's actually playing the video. And if you're listening to the show, we got another half an hour. So sorry, Guy. Yeah, I think Joe does, and you're right, Joe. That's good advice, and I think for anyone listening to the program, it's really important that they know that.
Yeah.
But in this guy's case, look, it's done.
Yeah.
Dr. Wong is a master at these large mega sessions,
Yeah.
and the likelihood of you having a great outcome is pretty fucking high.
Okay.
All right.
Which is what I've been telling you all along, and again, I want you to understand that what you're going through is completely normal. The uncertainty, the doubt, some call it buyer's remorse. It's perfectly normal, and it's only starting actually because you're only a few weeks out from your surgery, and you got another few months of this kind of wait and see scenario that you have to deal with because. If you're an average patient, you're not going to see the first signs of growth till at minimum 3 months. Now, It may happen earlier, but if it doesn't, don't freak out. And if you don't see anything even at 4 months, don't freak out because the average time it takes is 3 to 5 months to see your first graft pop through. So keep that in mind. Don't panic. Don't try to force things by wishing it to happen and getting upset when it doesn't. Just give it the time it deserves to do what it needs to do.
Yeah.
All right, man.
Yeah.
Listen,
all right, thanks.
we wish you the best of luck. I know that this is an anxious time for you.
Yeah.
Just, I was going to make a joke about popping some pills and relax, but don't do that. just go out, try to just live your life, and
just
you know
drink.
And I'd probably stay away from that too for a while. But the time goes by, man. Before you know it, it's going to be 10 months.
Yeah.
I mean, I see my life is just passing by so quickly.
One thing I can say is that once you do start to see, a great improvement, and even when you get to the end of this journey, which will be 10 to 14 months, you're going to look back at this time and you're going to be like, "What the hell? It just disappeared." Like all this time that I've been waiting and pacing and really worrying, it's like, what happened? It's like this is nothing. And it's a good feeling. So,
like start a new, like build a deck or something. Like really get into something for a while.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah,
man. Listen,
all right.
Good luck to you. All right.
All right. Thanks, and I'll keep listening.
Yeah, please keep us
and keep in touch, Steve.
Yeah, and call us back. In a couple of months. Let us know what's up.
Okay.
All right. Take care.
All right. Thanks.
888-659-3727. Guys, again, for the 4 guys currently watching us on Facebook, we will be being cut off in a minute. And also, once it's replayed, for some reason, I think it's because this feed is sent through New York, it's out of sync completely. So if you're watching a replay on Facebook and I look like I'm doing a kung fu movie, it's Andrew Zarian's fault. 888-659-3727. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air.
Hey.
Hey, who's this?
Am I potted up?
Yeah, you're potted up, man. Who's this?
Thank God. I never know if I'm the one potted up, so I feel like weird for the first 5 seconds. I'm like, hello?
That's the
Are
story.
you the one that keeps hanging up?
That's the story of my life.
No, it's Sam. What's up, guys?
Hey, Sam.
Hey,
What's
Sam.
happening?
Good. I'm just chilling. I saw through Facebook that you were online, so I decided to call in.
Cool. So what's up? How you doing?
What's up? Okay. I'm great. I just moved to USC for the summer. Hopefully going to do a few recruits, looking for some computer graduates. So I'm just chilling
Very
in
cool.
LA.
Nice.
Yeah. So I actually coincidentally passed by a dermatologist, a surgeon place, and I inquired. I went inside. I just for the heck of it, asked a few questions, and I just wanted to get your opinion on some of the things discussed.
Oh boy.
So so listen, I'm 26 years old. I mean, I think you know my situation. I'm pretty good hair. But just the front of my hairline. So the back of my hairline, my donor area, like the doctor himself said, like, you got a crazy donor area.
Right.
It's the front that's a little weaker, right? So
now let me ask Sam. Let me
Sure.
just ask you a question. You said you went to a dermatologist, or you went to a hair transplant specialist?
So it's this clinic called Laser and Skin Center, but they have a hair surgeon. I think his name is Dr. Daniel Tahiri.
Okay.
I don't even. Do you know who that is?
You know what? I don't. Maybe I should, or maybe I shouldn't.
Rings a bell.
What is it? Daniel Tahini?
Tahiri.
Tahiri. Daniel.
Sounds Persian.
I didn't actually
Tahiri.
speak to him. I spoke to like his assistant. But nevertheless, I think they're using the artist.
Strike one, though. But go ahead.
That's all right.
Not with the artist, but strike one with just speaking to the assistant. Let me take. What's the name of the place?
Yeah. Laser and Skin Center. It's comprehensive dermatology and plastic surgery.
Okay.
It's the site is lalasercenter.com. No, they were really nice, and nothing transpired. It was just inquiring, just to know whatever. So essentially, she told me that I can take 500 grafts from the back of my head and just fix up the front of my hairline and also disperse the hair a bit so if recession does occur, I don't look like an alien with like hair sprouting from the front and obviously nothing behind it. I wanted to know, obviously I think you would definitely not agree with me. I'm too young and I just heard your previous conversation. But
it's even beyond being too young. If anyone's offering you 500 grafts, get the fuck out of there. Run. Disperse it. You know what it'd be like to disperse 500 grafts in a diffuse pattern?
But honestly, yeah, but if you saw my frontal hairline, it's like it's receding, but then it's strong where there's hair. So
and they use a neograft. They don't use an artist.
No. Oh, they use neograft. Okay.
They use neograft. Yeah. Okay. Anyone offering you a 500 graft session, unless you are a burn victim, unless you are having eyebrow transplants, unless you have some sort of specific type of scarring alopecia, unless you have had cosmetic surgery and you need grafts to cover up the scarred areas, it is a bad move, and it is a sign, in my view, of someone who has no clue about hair restoration.
But hang on, Spencer. They have a special going on for the month of June.
Oh, well, fucking take it then, dude.
Fucking go. Sorry, I had to do it.
What was I thinking?
I feel like the joke's on me. No, but I wasn't thinking. I wasn't planning to make anything of it. I was just, I said, at hair loss clinic, why not ask a few questions? That's as far as my
No,
thought
that's
process.
fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm glad you called us.
Yes.
But listen, that's there's no one out there who A, isn't desperate to make a sale, or B, knows what they're doing, that's going to offer you a 500 graft case unless you have a very specific type of situation. And that would not be common, hereditary, androgenetic alopecia. Do you agree with
and
do you agree, Joe?
I agree with that. And let me tell you the situations where 500 grafts would make sense. And like Spencer said, like if you're a burn victim, but like you're obviously not a burn victim. So a recessed hairline, if you have an uneven pattern of loss where one side is receded quite a bit more than the other, 500 grafts in one specific area could kind of
Gotcha.
line things up or even things out, or maybe a temple point is receded, the other one hasn't, so to kind of again balance things out.
Very good point, Joe. Yeah.
There's also the issue of if it has receded across the entire frontal line, then 500 grafts could help. If you want to do maybe a third of a centimeter bringing it forward, in other words, not worthwhile.
Right.
So,
and also you're putting yourself at risk for shock loss. If you are having someone who's wielding the neograft and you didn't get a chance to see the doctor, there's some questions.
I want to be very clear about that. The doctor did not give me any advice. I didn't even consult the doctor. So
Okay.
just in doctor's defense, he did not recommend this. This is not his opinion. It's the opinion of his assistant.
I appreciate you saying that, but in the doctor's defense, the doctor allowed a salesperson, non-medical professional to make it a medical assessment.
at the very least, verifying and
under the auspices of his license.
Yeah.
So there's nothing to defend here, dude. That is just not.
Gotcha.
That's incorrect. That's not the right thing to do, in my view. So.
Understood. And by the way, Joe literally pointed out what my objective was. Like this, maybe a half a centimeter. Because the problem is my corners, and losing a bit of the corners really breaks the frame of your face, in the sense that you got to wear your hair a certain way. Obviously, I'm not doing a comb over or anything, but I can't pick my hair up for that reason. So I figured just like an inch or two would really, really be a game changer for me.
Yeah, an inch or two with 500 grafts would be.
It would be a game changer. You'd be walking around looking like a man-made freak.
Pretty much, yeah, because 500 grafts is nothing for something like that. You got to have density.
You want to change your game quickly? You get that done. That'll change your game.
Yeah, that'll definitely change it.
Yeah. You'll go from having game to having
from
no
having
game.
game to none. I was just going to say the same thing.
Well said. And one more thing I want to discuss. Okay, well, that topic is clear to me. One more thing. I've been taking finasteride 2.5 milligrams for some time now, and I just want to say that even before I started taking finasteride, I've always, like, every time I didn't eat a lot, I always kept peeing, and I feel like now that I'm on 2.5, I feel like I'm turning into a bit of a water fountain where I'm like just always peeing like every 20, 30 minutes. I'm just wondering, is that...
That's a possibility. I mean, there's a subset of guys who will have that adverse side effect. You know, you're dealing with your prostate. You know, I've been
it's becoming smaller, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, but usually, let me ask you a question: is it just the urge to pee, and you're not peeing completely, or are you peeing and emptying out your bladder completely?
Oh yeah, I know. I'm emptying out my bladder.
Okay.
And I also don't eat. I'm also been eating less too. So that and I know that when I used to eat less, I would pee a lot more. So
okay.
Maybe
Well,
I'm just trying.
All right. If you don't just feel the urge to pee a lot, and you're actually going to the bathroom, and it's happening fully, and you feel, satiated. I guess is it satiated? You feel like you've completed the urination, then you're probably okay. Maybe you're just drinking a lot of fluids. You're not eating as much.
Gotcha.
You're drinking a lot of fluids. It's when you have issues like you feel like you got to pee. It really becomes annoying. It's happening like every 30 minutes or 20 minutes, and you're not actually completely voiding. Then that could be an issue with finasteride.
Yeah, no, that's not me. Okay.
And again, let me just state, even though I didn't preface it, let me state I'm not a physician, so you should speak to your physician about any medical issues you guys have. All right, man. Listen, dude. Sam. Thanks for the call. I'm glad you didn't go. I'm glad you didn't go to Laser Center. If you ever want something done, call us. There's a few local guys that you can have consults with, who will probably just tell you the truth and say go home.
Gotcha.
All right.
I think the surgery came with a free beanie. So
a free beanie.
Lifetime guarantee. So yeah.
Yeah. Maybe you can get some like spider vein removal at the same time simultaneously. All right, dude.
Lipo.
A little lipo. All right, man. You take it easy.
Take care, Spencer.
All right. Take care.
Thanks for calling.
Take care.
888, sorry to cut you off. 888-659-3727. Let's see who this is. Hey, you are on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
This is Keith.
Hi, Keith.
Hey, Keith.
What's happening? Where are you calling from?
Chicago.
Welcome, man. What's going on?
Yeah, I kind of would like to segue from the last conversation. I had my first transplant at the age of 19. And I can tell you, I had 5. Yeah. I've had 6 total transplants, right? And my head is still fucked up from the first 4 I had.
Let me. Oh, you're in Chicago. Let me see. How old are you?
Right now, I'm 46.
Was the first transplant performed by Dr. Pomerantz?
No, you're gonna probably enjoy this one, right? I actually tried to consult with Dr. Otar Norwood when I was about 19.
Okay.
And he refused to even talk to me because of my age.
Of course, Otar is one of the first few really ethical guys out there.
Yeah, so I'm gonna throw a name at you. That's probably you're gonna probably I don't know how you're gonna feel about this, but there was another doctor, Bluford Stow.
Bluford did your first surgery?
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yes.
Let me tell you something. This is a guy who is revered in the world of hair transplantation. His son, Dowstow,
I know,
has allegedly such a hard-on for me for founding my own organization.
Well,
that he would see me and just turn red Go ahead.
Well, let me tell you something. I got a hard on for him because he's the one that gave me my second transplant.
Who? His son?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell
I
me.
think
All
I was
right.
still 19, right? 6 months old. I don't remember, right?
Jesus
Whatever.
Christ. All right. So tell us how did those transplants? I'm assuming things did not go well.
Okay, so like now I can tell you what I didn't know then is I was a diffused probably Norwood 4. When I went and seen him, I started losing my hair when I was like 15, right? And back then, I mean, even at 19 or 20, the only people walking around with shaved heads were going through chemo, right? Or
Sure. But but
or
here's the
skinheads.
thing. I don't mean to cut you off, but back then, you're in your 40s, so finasteride still probably wasn't approved.
no, it was not.
So you really had no options to maintain what you have, and these doctors knew. They knew that you were going to progress to a full 7, especially since you started at 15.
Yeah, I progressed to a 6, but needless to say. So, I mean, after the first 2, I still had native hair, and they placed the grafts, the mini micros, cut them up, however they were doing it back then. And, I mean, some of them were shaped like half moons or footballs or whatever. And they would place them between, the hair that I still did have, but was obviously going to fall out eventually. So about for the first year, I mean, it was okay. I dealt with it. It was okay. But then when the rest of my hair started falling out, it was just...
Was this one that started to cut you off, but was this one of those deals where it's like we're going to place your hairline a little bit higher so that you'll mature into it?
No. As a matter of fact...
Dude, we're talking about Buford, man. I mean, I hate to say it, but holy shit, the stuff. You know what? Dow's going to be pissed. I'm not even going to get into it, but the fact that you were even operated on, man, speaks volumes about this entire bullshit industry.
That's
no doubt.
Just like the poster scenario.
Yeah.
For the industry.
Yeah.
So anyways, no, he drew like this dot on my head and this hairline, which was an inch lower than where my hairline was at the time, which my hairline was still the hairline I was born with. It was just thinned out.
Jesus.
God help.
And I sat there and I looked in the mirror, and I had somebody else with me at the time, and I didn't say anything because the psychological situation you're in when you're in that position. But the individual that I was with said, wait a minute, why would you do that? And questioned him about that.
Yeah.
And after that, he's like, well, we could raise it up, And so he raised it up to where I was thinning at, where my natural hairline was at originally. And that's where we started.
All right. Well, let's fast forward a couple of years.
Okay.
Your hair loss began to progress, and now you're stuck with what they called at the time cut the size or mini and micro grafts, and they were probably more like mini grafts and like small plugs.
Right. Yeah. There were singles too. So there were singles. So I don't know, fast forward maybe 5 or 6 years. I just was forced into like keeping jobs where I could wear a hat or whatever, right? It just really, the stories are the same, right? You miss weddings and funerals that you should be at and you don't go to because of that situation, and you can't explain it to anybody, and the few people you might trust and explain it to you to never understand anyway. So truly,
I feel you. I've been there.
I would say that this is probably a segment that should be sent to the Stows, or at least to Dow.
Yeah.
So, I won't do that to you though, but I'm just saying.
No, I don't care really. Yeah. Anyways, I'm going to fast forward maybe 5 or 6 years. I fell victim once again. And I will say Blueford Style had some of the best marketing material ever, like you could imagine, for that day and time.
Oh, I know.
Nice colored brochures with people that were maybe Norwood 5s and 6, and all of a sudden they have full heads of
hair.
They
were fucking happy, man, those brochures. These are happy people, right? Man. Yeah.
That's the answer. Anyways, fast forward.
And I just want you to know this, but maybe I don't need to repeat this, but you are just one of hundreds of thousands of walking wounded, especially from the older industry. So I hope you don't blame yourself for making these decisions, because there are so many people who fell into the same trap that you did.
Right.
And I mean, that's honestly why I started to do what I do. And that's why, like, Joe is now independent doing what he does. Because sadly,
Right.
while it's not what it was back then, it's still really bad out there. You know? So hair transplantation has changed. It could be life-changing. You look at Joe's head of hair. Joe is a
Absolutely.
Norwood 7. So,
Yeah, he's my that's my model right there. I mean, where I'd like to be, but
so what has your life been like in the last 35 years dealing with this?
yeah, it's been horrible, right? I mean, that's what you wake up and you consciously deal with on a daily basis, and you just, you do the best you can do. Now, I will say, I'll just briefly tell you that I did go for 2 follow-up procedures like 5 or 6 years later at Newhart in Pittsburgh, which I fell victim once again in the marketing, and they actually did a worse job than the Styles, right? I mean, lots of pitting and just cobblestoning, et cetera, et cetera. And I had some horrendous scars in the back of my head, which literally would wake me up in the middle of the night. And I lived like that. I mean, I lived like that for about another 5 years until I contacted Dr. Bobby Limmer.
Okay.
And told him my whole situation. He sent me your book, Spencer, and asked me to read it.
Wow.
And
Bobby Limmer's pimping me out. Had no idea.
Yeah. And he sent me your book, and I read it. And I got back with him, and I sent him the pictures and everything. And I went down, and I talked to him. And he looked at my head, and he said I had some of the worst scarring he'd ever seen in the back of my head, ever. And he said, I'm not worried about how bad your front looks. He goes, I'm going to take care of the scars in the back of your head. We'll worry about the rest later. And so at that time, that was 2001. So he was doing the microfollicular grafting, the microscopes. So went through.
He was the guy. He was the guy that basically started it all.
Yeah. So I went down there, and he did the scar revision, which was absolutely the best thing that I've ever done for myself in my life.
That's great.
And he did it practically pro bono, the scar revision. I mean, he just, because of my situation and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And then he followed up with, I think I had 750 grafts the same day I had the scar revision. And then I went back down there, and I had 1,200 more grafts about a year later after that. And it helped a lot. I mean, now I can somewhat conceal it with Topic, and I wear a piece, and together it's still frustrating. It's still a 45-minute ordeal for me every morning with half a can of hairspray and the Topic and whatnot. So,
but at least even back, you think about 2001, and I'm glad that you found Bobby, and I'm glad that he sent you my book, because back then, if you remember that old book, I mean, there were only 11 doctors that we were able to recommend, and doctors didn't pay to be recommended in the Bald Truth. These were the only guys who were doing it well. When I was writing the book, my initial instinct was to write a completely blow it out of the water derogatory chapter about hair transplantation. And then I met Bob Bernstein, and I met with Bobby Limmer, and I met these guys and saw what they were doing, and I was blown away that this was possible, because I was visiting clinics like the one that you went to, and I was seeing this work. I was like, this can't be happening.
Yeah.
So I'm glad at least Bobby was able to get you to a point where you felt relatively comfortable.
Yeah, I mean, I've been able to live with it. It's still not a pleasant thing. One thing that he did tell me while I was down there, and just by the grace of the hair gods or what have you, he said I had probably some of the thickest and most abundant donor hair that he had ever seen, too.
Yeah.
That's the saving grace for guys like you and me. It's like if you got good donor hair, then a lot of things can happen.
So now I will tell you where I'm at now, and I will try to, if you're interested, follow up what happens in the near future.
I am very interested. This is
so I've
a long
6 transplants, right?
Yeah.
6 transplants. I've been listening to your show for a couple of years, just giving it a lot of thought. I've basically, since Dr. Limmer's procedures, I've just kind of hidden out. It's hard to trust, anybody. I mean, although he did help me a lot, there's still a lot of issues there, right? I mean, just tremendous psychological issues. But so I finally did consult with Dr. Wong, and I had a Skype consultation with him last week. I sent him all kinds of pictures, and he took a really good look at my donor, what he could, without actually physically being there.
Mm-hmm.
And he said that I have no less than 6,000 grafts left. And from his opinion, he thought it was more than enough to make a tremendous difference in where I'm at now.
I know who you are.
You do? Okay.
Yeah. You post online, don't you?
I do.
Yeah. I know who you are. Okay.
Okay.
Good.
All right.
Good. No.
So-
First off, great to hear from you. But second off, if Dr. Wong said you got 6,000 grafts, that's a nice ray of hope for you. And I'm glad to hear that.
And he said minimally, so he was surprised that I've had 6 procedures and still had that much donor left. So
yeah, did he have you? He had you move your scalp, right? So did he comment on your laxity?
Absolutely, yeah. He thought it was good, but he suggested that I keep continuing the exercises until I have the procedure, which I'm committed to having. It's just a timing issue for me, and there's a lot of issues. I know he is adamant on shaving, and so I have to go through all that because I have the. It's gonna be hard to conceal some of the bad work that I've had done in the past, but going back to work and those issues. But if I'm gonna get past it, I guess I'm gonna have to do what I got to do. So.
Well,
okay.
Yeah, go ahead, Joe.
Let me ask you this: where you said you're wearing a system as well? Where do you wear it? Is it like a full system? Is it just for the back, or?
No, it's just a partial in the back, and then I try to blend it into the front, where I have a lot of pitting in the front, or not in the front, but in the midsection.
Okay.
I have quite a bit of pitting. So
now I have a question for you, and if you feel like sharing, that's fine. If not, that's cool too. I mean, obviously, this has affected you emotionally. It's affected your career path, from what you said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What about, were you able to find a mate? And
yeah, I did get fortunate in that area.
that's great.
You have to do a lot of creative thinking, I guess, when you are on the hunt and you have an issue like that. But yeah,
I've been there. I got married before I got repaired. Early on, and it's I think you sit there and you ask yourself, I don't know how many times, maybe hundreds of times, it's like, did she actually look at me before we got married? That was a feeling I had, because I mean, my hairline, man, was, I mean, you saw my before pictures. That's the way I looked when I got married.
Very similar to mine, very comparable to mine. Yeah. So
well, look,
yeah,
man.
it was challenging. I mean, just to even date, right? I mean, it's just like, I didn't want to be involved with groups of friends and date anybody inside that circle, because then, I mean, and all your friends know and their friends know, and
the ones that don't know, they do wind up eventually knowing because people talk, and it's vicious, man. I know, I get it.
It is. It's vicious. It's very vicious. So I am going to. I've made a commitment to myself, to just go ahead and follow through with whatever I need to do to get this to turn out the best as I can for myself. So.
Well, dude, listen. I wish you the best of luck. You've been through hell and back, but the fact that you have been able to somehow live your life, and there's a guy by the name of Marcus who used to call the program all the time, who had multiple surgeries, maybe 11, 12, maybe more surgeries. And, he was able to move on with his life and, live the best he could. But he always said that while there is life after hair loss and after a bad hair transplantation, it's really kind of like living half a life. And that's the sense that I get from you when I hear your voice. You've succeeded.
Absolutely.
You've found a mate. You probably have some good times in your life, but this is always something in the center of your life.
Yep.
I have a couple of kids. I have a decent job. I did it, but it was not easy, and it's still not easy. So.
Yeah.
Now, if you had the opportunity to speak to the Stows, and you have the opportunity now, what would you say to them?
Well, I'm assuming that Bluford has passed, from what I understand. it's really hard. I don't know. And when I think about it in some ways, and I mean, I would never compare it to being raped, but I'm just wondering if there's some kind of comparison there.
I think that's an interesting analogy, and I think a lot of people feel the same way.
I think it's accurate in some cases.
If I could talk to Dowling, I mean, I guess I would. I don't know. I think for me to have moved on, I had to do a lot of forgiving and forgetting, and I would definitely like to tell him that, there was mistakes made back then, and I know he was working under his father. But, if I can help anybody in the future, that's 19, 25, 28, and I hear these guys call in and they're half a Norwood 1, and they're like, panicking. It's just, they have no idea. Yeah. And I would just, if I could tell, I know that the organization that Dow is ahead of, I mean, I have absolutely no respect for that organization. I mean, they're the one clinic, Newhart. I mean, I don't know if they are legitimate or not, but they're using that label right on their website. I mean, and what they did to me, it's just incredible.
Just so you know, I mean, as far as the ISHRS is concerned, it really is just an educational organization. It is a place where hair transplant surgeons come together and in some cases learn from each other, and there's a lot of bureaucracy involved, and
a lot of backslapping
going on. It's kind of like an old boys network.
Sure.
Dow, unfortunately, when I founded the IAHRS, was fucking furious. It was it was a very interesting experience dealing with that type of anger so early on in my career, when I was honestly just trying to do something to help people. You would think, at least I would think, that, hey, wait a second, this is a good thing. If these are good doctors, the way who they claim to be, then they would be all for it.
Absolutely.
But unfortunately, that wasn't the case. So listen, dude, I appreciate your call. You've helped a lot of people tonight. I think you realize how many thousands of lives you've touched just by calling in.
That's the only reason I called. I mean, it's not going to help me personally to call, but I know there's people out there under similar circumstances of losing their hair, and I know what that feels like. I mean, I was 15. I mean, I was devastated, right? So, I mean, I lost my teenage years and my young adulthood because of it.
You know what? Let me say something though. Talking about it does help. It does help you, because I mean, part of the reason why I did, my blog before it was, blog was even a word, documenting my procedures with Dr. Wong in near real time, it was therapeutic for me to kind of express what I hadn't been in a position to really express before. And so for you to call in, number one, it's incredibly brave of you. So I commend you for that. A lot of guys can't bring themselves to do it, and for obvious reasons, it's understandable. But for you to do that today is, I think brave. But number two, I think that talking about this is helpful for you and anyone else that goes through a similar situation that you and I, because we've both been through this, have been through. It helps to get it out, to talk about it, and forums are one thing where we type out these things that we're going through. But to actually be in a position now where you can call into a show like The Bald Truth and verbalize this, I think that takes it to the next level. And so I'm glad that you called in. This is something that's really personal for me. I've been there, I know, and you're going to one of the best for your situation, and I'm excited for you. And I would ask that you contact me later on through my own website, because I only live 20 minutes from the clinic. So when you come in, let's talk about this, because I want to hear more about your situation. I want to hear more about what Dr. Wong said for you, if you're okay with that.
And the thing about Joe is
Yeah.
he really only wants a dinner, though. That's the thing.
I'll
only
buy him
specific
dinner.
dinner.
That's fine.
Only a specific dinner. No, I'm just kidding. No, I actually get offered that all the time, and I don't want that. I just want to be able to. I just want to talk to you,
Dude. You got to eat. Come on.
Good. You know, I really appreciate hearing that, and I can tell you, like, I've never been able to talk to anybody about it, you know. So it's even as close as I've gotten to my spouse, it's just not something I can't do it. So
you can't. Yeah, it's like, how's she going to relate to that?
yeah,
It's not gonna happen.
you know.
Well, dude, that's why we do this, and that's what we're here for, man. And I'm glad that you're able to talk about it. I only wish that you would have found my book in '98. Well, you know, I mean, how many years after your first procedure did you get the book?
Wow, I got my first procedure like in '89 or '90.
Oh, 89 or not? Yeah, I wasn't around to help you.
He's same age as I am, and he got it done before I got. I mean, I was 22, so so you were like, I just feel for you, man.
Well,
I know.
Hey,
I mean, this
Joe.
mirrors.
Joe,
What's
is
that?
there a best way to like contact you or
Let him
Just
know.
through my website, hairtransplantmentor.com.
Okay, I've been there. I've sent some pictures, and I don't know if you've looked at them or not. So it was
When
about
did-
a month ago.
Sorry, when-
Joe
when'd
looks
you send him?
confused, so that means
Pardon?
Joe
When
looks
did
a
you
little
send him?
confused. That means that he didn't see him.
When did you send them?
I would say like 6 weeks ago.
Okay.
It was under the program thing that you had. I didn't know if that was the best way to get a hold of you. It wasn't. I was just trying to love you one way or the other. Have you at least
Give him your
accept
email address, dude.
Yeah,
Right
just
now.
Okay.
Admin@hairtransplantmentor.com.
Okay.
All right, dude. Listen, we got to go. Thank you so much for calling in, man. I wish you the best of luck. And the fact that Dr. Wong says that it really sounds like you're actually salvageable.
Yeah, I know. It's I thought I was. Just when I look in the mirror, it's like, man, I still have a bunch of hair back there, and he felt the same way. So.
Well, look, I wish you the best of luck. Take advantage of Joe's offer. He doesn't do much for anybody.
absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
I'm just kidding. All right, dude. All right, you take care of yourself. Have a good night.
Thanks for calling in.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
Thank you guys very much.
Sure, you got it.
Bye-bye.
Oh, wow. That's heavy, man.
Yeah, it's just like,
Not a good week to stop drinking. Not a good week to stop drinking.
yeah, right.
Yeah. I saw you with the fancy glass and
That's
the
right.
pinky.
Hey, Mo, Pinky wasn't up. Don't go there.
We got to go, but somebody's been holding on for like half an hour. Let me see what he wants,
Get away.
he or she wants real quick, and then we're going to call it a night. Hey, man, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Ryan from Wisconsin.
Ryan from Wisconsin. What's
Ryan.
happening, man? How are you?
Yeah, I'll make this quick. I know you're trying to get out of there. So,
That's cool.
I've just been, on the Pro Scar since October or whatever. So the hair loss has been, it's been keeping on going. So, and I just have to tell you, like the other day, I work at a boat rental business. Okay, so the other day
You work in the what?
I
The
was out there-
boat rental business?
Yeah, it's a
Okay.
boat rental company.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
And
I thought you
so
said
there's a
whole
bar-
rental for a second. I was like, you work in a whole rent? You're a pimp?
No, boat rental.
Hose for rent.
So, so the other fucking day, the manager at the bar next door comes over, and I'm with a couple of my buddies, and there's a couple good-looking girls over there, and we have this relationship where we kind of joke around with each other and stuff. And I didn't wear a hat that day, so she came up and she fucking told me, she was like, "Oh, what are you, 40 years old? I could see right down your scalp." She fucking said that right in front of these girls and my friends, and then everybody kind of went like silent, and they kind of looked at my hair, and I didn't even know what to say. I didn't even say anything. I was just like, "Oh."
Now, what does this girl look like, first of all?
She is a smoke show. She's a good-looking girl.
All right. But is there anything you could focus on, like bad teeth or something that you could fuck with her with?
No, I was thinking about that. I mean, that's what I was thinking of. I know it's horrible to say, but I was thinking about that shit, and I was like, what am I going to say to this girl?
What about her hair extensions? She's got to be wearing hair extensions.
Exactly.
No, you'd think so, but she is just a dime. Like, she's a good-looking girl.
If she had a crank?
She's a real smart-ass, yeah. No, nothing's wrong with her. I was really trying to get to know her.
And how old is she?
She's 27 years old, and I'm only 21.
She's still young, too. I mean, okay.
And
You give her you give her 20 years, though, man.
that.
She's going to be a fucking mess. You got to somehow get that out there to her.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. You
Yeah,
know,
I
I don't mean that. Listen, this is hair loss is the last bastion of political incorrectness. The fact that someone can come up to somebody and say something about their hair like that, where, you know, if you were to go up to a woman who has a fat ass and said, you know, I mean, holy shit, look at the size of your ass. What are you, a 50-year-old woman? I mean, you couldn't get away with that.
You'd be thrown out of the bar.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, yeah.
Or
you're
holy shit,
absolutely right.
your tits are hanging down to your ankles. I've never seen anything like that. You can't say that to somebody.
Yeah.
So, you know what, dude? It's unfortunate. It's just one of those things that we have to deal with. And, you know, I guess how are you going to respond? You could have just said, you know, thanks a lot. And what I mean by that is go fuck yourself. You know? Or, you know, that may have been a response that I would have given.
Yeah, I kind of
I kind of look at situations like this as coming back with, okay, says the girl with the green shit in her teeth just to freak her out.
Yeah.
Right?
That would be funny, actually.
You know? Or says the girl with the nose hairs.
Says the girl with the chronic halitosis.
Yeah. That's even better.
That would have fucked her up.
Because first off, she won't know what halitosis means. And then she'll look it up and then really freak out.
Yeah. Be like, dude, you smell like a horse.
So the question is, like, so obviously it's fucking noticeable, you know what I mean? If this fucking girl said that to me, I mean, and I'm only, you know what I mean? I thought I was doing good too. I'm like out of school. I was feeling good. It's the summertime, you know what I mean? And then this happens, and then I just hit fucking rock bottom again. Like,
well, weren't you able to, if I remember correctly, weren't you able to shave your head at one point?
Yeah, you remember? Yeah, I was able to shave my head, but you know, I had that silhouette of the hairline and whatnot.
All right, but now if you shave it, you don't have the silhouette of the hairline?
Not so much, no. I mean, I do, but it's, you know, it's pretty fucking. Yeah, sorry for swearing so much, but it's pretty thin. So,
you know, honestly, I would try it again, and frankly, no, you know, if you could deal with it, no one's going to say that they can see through your hair if it's just your scalp. Even if you have a recessed hairline, if you've already dealt with it and you can get away with living your life that way, you know, that's part of taking control of your hair loss. And a lot of people find that, and a lot of women find that very attractive.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay.
I'm the one that gets questioned
right.
all the time. Like, well, why don't you just shave your head? What's with the hairspray? If you just take control of it, if you're able to do that, then you win. And then you could bring up that.
Yeah.
Then the next time you could bring up the halitosis. Like, just when she's talking to you and says hi, just say, you know, like offer a piece of gum or something.
Sorry, I can't. I can't sit so close to you. Can you stop breathing in my face?
Yeah.
I gotcha. So
All right.
that's all I really had to say. I just wanted to get your input on that. I haven't heard from you guys in a while. I haven't talked to you guys in a while. So
I'm sorry. I'm glad you called. I'm sorry that you went through that. But you know what? You've always sounded like a strong kid, Ryan, and also you've dealt with a shaved head before. Yeah. You are probably, you know, you continue to take the medication, see what happens, but cut it down, shave it again. See how you fare in the bars and in your life with a shaved look again, and you may just be able to move on.
Yeah.
But I was not wearing the topic at that time. Like I wasn't wearing any of the concealer, which when I do, I don't think anybody would think anything of it. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, so you were out without wearing concealer?
Because I had a hat on, and I didn't. I just kind of took it off for a second. I didn't think my friends would show up like that, and then her show up and do that. Like, it kind of all took me off guard. You know what I mean? I didn't have time to run to the truck and grab my hat.
Yeah. Listen, dude. I mean, if you're gonna walk around with concealer, that shit is permanent. You cannot. If you don't want anyone to see you without it, then you gotta wear it all the time. That's how I am. It's a commitment. It's an addiction because people aren't used to seeing you without it. So, you know, it's fucked up. There's no doubt that it's fucked up. I'm sorry you went through that. Personally, I think that if you're equipped to shave your head, I would do that. I really
You
would.
said buzz.
It'll
You mean buzz it?
buzz it. It'll save you so much angst, so many problems, and people will just be like, okay, he's taking control of it. He's a man. You know, I
True.
couldn't do that. I wasn't equipped to do that. And also, when I was your age, you know, we're talking about like 1986. There were two bald guys. One guy was Telly Savalas, who played Kojak, and the other guy was Yul Brynner. And you probably don't know who Yul Brynner is. That was it. Otherwise, you were sick.
Really?
Otherwise, yeah, no one shaved their head. Dr. J had an afro as tall as Tillman. Okay, so even the brothers didn't.
All right.
Even the brothers weren't shaving their heads back then.
Yeah.
All right, dude.
Gotcha. All right. Well, yeah, thanks. I just wanted to know if you ever fucking had something like that happen. Like I cannot believe I was just blown away that you said that.
I had a guy who just
Somehow.
who just contacted me recently out of the blue. I haven't spoken to him in years. A kid I grew up with. He used to be a bouncer at a bar. I'm hanging out, chatting it up with a couple of chicks at a bar. He's a little loaded. He comes and talks to us, and he says, "Why are you talking to him? He's losing his hair."
No way.
Oh yeah, this is supposed to be my
Holy
friend.
Jesus Christ.
Karma's
That's
a bitch,
ridiculous,
though.
yeah.
Karma is a bitch, though, because I got a lot more at this point than he does.
Yep.
You know, in the hair
Right
department. So, all right, dude. You take care.
Thanks a lot, guys, for
All right.
answering.
All right, man.
All right.
Take
I'll
it
talk
easy.
to you guys later.
Thanks for
All right, bye.
calling.
All right, guys. Busy show. I want to thank everybody. I thought the little intro and just kind of watching you, testing out Facebook Live directly through my phone was pretty cool. It seemed like
I noticed that you got your little rig there with your phone set up.
I got a lot more views from that little thing than from Andrew showing the show.
It's all in the settings.
It's actually interesting. You know, I think it's about. You know what I may do, and I don't know if it makes any sense. I can probably run sound through the phone. I think I can do that. I think I could run my sound through the phone so that people can kind of see it on a voyeuristic thing on Facebook.
Kind of behind the scenes kind of deal.
Yeah, or I can just kind of open the show. Like we're about to go on live, just like I did then. We've got a lot of people viewing and a lot of likes and no shares, but I don't think anyone wants to share that. Anyway, guys. Joe, good show. Studio looks fucking fantastic. Let's show everybody again. Holy cow. Unbelievable. Guys, we are going to call it a night. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Let me give out the websites, thebaldtruth.com, thebaldtruth.com. Jesus.
Is that one or two dots?
It's one dot.
There's one dot. Okay.
Thebaldtruth.com. If you are interested in viewing archive videos, archive shows, you can go directly to thebaldtruth.com. You can also download the videos and audio through iTunes, of course, which is where I say the vast majority of people actually end up viewing the broadcast or listening to the broadcast. Go to Guys from Queens Network, check out their programming, and of course you can watch our archives on there as well. For hair transplant surgery, if you're considering surgery, please, you heard the guy talking about the other organization. Just take the time to go to iahs.org. It's a relatively small list of doctors who we have allowed to participate over the years because they are doing consistently great work. With that said, it's still cosmetic surgery. You never know what's going to happen. There isn't a doctor who we have allowed into the organization who doesn't have at least one unhappy patient. That's just the way this field is. And many times it's of no fault of their own. It's just the way cosmetic surgery is. If you're not comfortable with the possible risk, don't consider hair transplant surgery. For the American Hair Loss Association, it's AmericanHairLoss.org. And of course, let me give out Joe Tillman's website, hairtransplantmentor.com. Joe, of course, is the original hair transplant mentor. And if you have any questions, do me a favor, ask him. Contact him. I'm just kidding. But you can contact him. He'll get back to you eventually. I mean, he's a real big shot now.
Oh, God.
You know, so.
Well, I got a new office, so.
Got a new office. It's a whole thing. All right, guys. Until next time, be strong. God bless. And thank you so much for listening.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry for any inconvenience you may have been put to prior to the program. and I'm glad you enjoyed it. And if you could now leave by the exits at the rear, that'd be splendid. Thank you. Good night.